It's like, I'm not out here to inspire the next generation of golfers. I'm not here to inspire somebody else to be the best player in the world, because what's the point? You know, this is not a fulfilling life.
As far as I'm concerned, I don't play golf for money. I've been playing golf my whole life for free, and the money's just a bonus.
Augusta National, April 10, 2022. Scottie Scheffler is hours away from his chance to win the Masters, his dream since he was a child. He's the world #1, has 4 victories already this season, and everything says he's ready. But that morning started completely different for Scottie. He sat quietly at his kitchen table crying, whispering words nobody expected. I don't think I'm ready. Yet just hours later, he'd walk the 18th fairway at Augusta with the green jacket and his childhood dream on the line. This isn't the story of a superstar who always knew he was destined for greatness. This is the story of a quiet kid from Texas who was hitting ping pong balls in his living room, who stayed loyal to his coach, his caddy, and faith no matter how high he climbed. Let me tell you the story of the man who never flinched, even when the whole world expected him to. Scheffler was born in Ridgewood, New Jersey in June of 1996. He was the youngest of 4 as the only boy with 3 older sisters. His parents, Scott and Diane, raised him with faith and work ethic. In 2001, after the Twin Towers fell, Scheffler's family left New Jersey and moved to Dallas. They weren't a country club family, and golf wasn't passed down through the generations. It was something Scheffler stumbled into on his own. A plastic club in the yard, ping pong balls in the living room. He'd line up targets around the house, hit fades through doorways and chips onto couch cushions. But by age 7, he was practicing almost daily. His obsession was growing day by day, and his parents realized this wasn't just a hobby. This made them take the bold decision to take out a $50,000 loan to help their son join the Royal Oaks Country Club. And at Royal Oaks, Scheffler trained under Randy Smith, one of the most respected instructors in the game. At that time, Smith had just coached Justin Leonard to a major championship and was working with another junior, a couple years older than Scottie, by the name of Jordan Spieth. Joining the club made Scottie practice next to tour pros, and unlike most kids, he'd walk right up to guys like Ryan Palmer and challenge them to putting contests. By the time he was 10, he was already known in North Texas golf circles. At 11, he was winning everything, and by the time Scheffler was a teenager, he'd racked up more than 75 junior tournament wins. He was a regular on the leaderboard at the AJGA and made the junior Ryder Cup team, 3 Texas state titles and a US junior amateur. He was becoming one of the most consistent young players in the country, and then came the 2014 Byron Nelson. Scheffler was just 17 years old, a high schooler, and he was given a sponsor's exemption into the field, a rare opportunity and a huge moment for a kid who'd grown up just a few miles away. But Scottie treated it like just another day, and on Friday he did something no one expected. He made a hole-in-one in the 3rd round and ultimately finished 4 under par in a tie for 22nd place, making the crowds and cameras swarm him. The media headlines piled up because the golf world saw something they couldn't ignore, a new name to keep in mind for coming years, and it wasn't going away. In April 2022, Scheffler arrived at Augusta National not as a hopeful outsider, but as the man to beat. He was on a hot streak, having won 3 times in his last 6 starts: Phoenix, Bay Hill, and the WGC in Austin. He was young, calm, and unflappable as the world #1. But this Masters wasn't just about him. This was Tiger's comeback season, his first major since the 2021 accident, and his very presence turned Augusta into something more than a golf tournament. On another end, Rory McIlroy was trying to win his first Masters to finally complete his career Grand Slam. But Thursday's opening round of the Masters began quietly. Scheffler opened with a calm, controlled round. He teed off alongside Tony Finau and Adam Scott, shooting a steady 69 at 3 under par. 4 birdies, 1 bogey, showing no signs of nerves. He kept the ball in play, rolled putts with confidence, and finished the day tied for 3rd. Then Friday was when the tone shifted. Scheffler went out in the morning wave and took full advantage of the conditions. He birdied the 2nd and 3rd holes and settled into a rhythm on the front 9, then capitalized on the back 9 with birdies at 13 and 15. He signed for a 67, 5 under on the day, 8 under for the tournament, and by late afternoon he was sitting on a 5-shot lead after the opening round top 2 of Sungjae and Cam Smith both shot 2 over 74s. Charles Schwartzel, Sungjae and Shane Lowry were the closest chasers, but none looked as composed. It was the largest 36-hole lead at the Masters since Jordan Spieth in 2015. The sad day then arrived colder, windier and heavier, and the course was less forgiving. Scheffler started his Saturday round with caution, a par on the first, then another. He didn't chase birdies and tried to protect what he had. By the turn, he was still steady, and the crowd began to believe he might just run away with it. But Augusta doesn't let go that easily. On the back nine, the pressure found him. He bogeyed 12 after a push tee shot, then 14 after a shaky approach, followed by another on 15 after a 3-putt. In the span of 4 holes, his 5-shot lead shrank to 2. Suddenly the air around him changed. The roars from other parts of the course got louder and the leaderboard grew tighter. By day's end, he posted a 1 under par 71. It was enough to steady the ship, but not enough to extend the lead. That 5-shot margin he had narrowed to 3, with Cameron Smith chasing him down. And now, heading into Sunday, the number wasn't just a lead, it was a question, because at Augusta, a lead is never safe. In 1996, Greg Norman led by 6 going into the final round and ended up losing by 5. In 2011, Rory McIlroy stood on the 10th tee of the final round with a 4-shot lead and then shot an 80. In 2016, Jordan Spieth held the lead until the 12th hole when Rays Creek pulled him under. The green jacket is never promised. Scheffler had seen how fast Augusta could shift, how quickly a week of control could unravel. Now the game was his to lose. What's about to happen in the next 24 hours will decide if the calm could conquer Augusta. For the first time all week, doubts crept into his mind. Suddenly, he wasn't winning in his own mind, and someone had to remind him who he was and where he came from. Before Augusta, before the cameras followed his every move, Scheffler was building something most people didn't see. In the fall of 2014, he enrolled at the University of Texas on a golf scholarship. UT's coach, John Field, had recruited him after watching him for years. He believed in Scottie early and brought him into one of the top college golf programs in the country, with some big shoes to fill. Because just 2 years earlier, Texas had won the NCAA title led by Jordan Spieth, and Scheffler did not disappoint. As a freshman in 2015, Scheffler helped Texas win the Big 12 championship. Over the next 4 years, he'd become a steady force for the Longhorns, winning 3 collegiate titles and earning multiple All-American honors. But even at that level, Scheffler never stood out for the usual reasons. That balance of discipline and lightness had always stayed with him. In 2017, the summer before his final year in college, Scheffler qualified for the US Open at Erin Hills. He was still an amateur and made the cut. He beat his childhood idol Jordan Spieth by 1 stroke and earned the silver medal. That was his first taste of major championship pressure. After graduating from Texas with a degree in finance, he turned professional in 2018, and in 2019 he played on the Korn Ferry Tour, the proving ground for future PGA stars. He won twice that year, topped the points list, and was named Korn Ferry Tour Player of the Year. That earned him his PGA Tour card for 2020, and that's when the quiet climb began. In his rookie season, he finished in the top 10 7 times. He shot a 59 at the Northern Trust, only the 12th player in history to do so on the PGA Tour, and was voted as the Rookie of the Year by his peers. 1 year later, in 2021, he went on to finish as the runner-up at WGC Match Play, and that same year he was selected for the US Ryder Cup team at Whistling Straits. He hadn't won a tour event yet, but Captain Steve Stricker believed in him, and it paid off. Because on Sunday, Scheffler birdied 5 of the first 6 holes, beating World No.1 John Rahm, winning the match 4-3. Through those years, Scheffler built a reputation. Grounded, quiet, and relentless. He was deeply rooted in faith and family, and he didn't seek the spotlight. When he won, his parents reminded him of what mattered. By the end of 2021, Scheffler was the best player in the world without a PGA Tour win. But he wasn't rushing. He trusted the process and knew what he was building. Scheffler remained as the quietest guy in the room. But in 2022, the room was about to get very loud. April 10, 2022. the final day of the Masters. Scheffler woke up in his rented house near the Magnolia Lane. The sunlight hadn't crept in, but the pressure had. The weight of a 3-shot lead, the eyes of the golfing world, and the hope of a green jacket all before his feet hit the floor, and he broke down in tears. He was stressed out and didn't know what to do. He told his wife Meredith, "I don't think I'm ready for this." And Meredith listened quietly before grounding him with a simple truth. "Who are you to say that you are not ready?" She reminded him, if this is where God wants you, it's where you're supposed to be. Scheffler didn't suddenly feel less pressure, but he felt steady enough to keep moving. He dressed, ate a light breakfast, and made the short drive to the course. The forecast called for steady conditions. The greens were firming up, and the wind was light. It was shaping into a day made for challenges. At the driving range, Scheffler missed caddy Ted Scott. Scott, who had previously been on the bag for Bubba Watson during his 2 Masters wins, kept things calm. They talked through the plan for the day, and by the time he stepped onto the putting green near the first tee, the gallery was swelling. Roars drifted in from Amy and corner. The Sunday at Augusta hum was unmistakable. He made his way to the tee. Just before his name was called, he looked down the fairway and took a breath. Everything was quiet, at least for a moment. And then the final round began. Scheffler was paired in the final group with second place Cameron Smith, the Australian with a fearless putting stroke. Smith opened his round with back-to-back birdies on the first and second holes. And just like that, Scheffler's lead shrunk from 3 to 1. The gallery roared, sensing a possible shift in momentum, but Scheffler stayed composed. On the third hole, after Smith missed the green, Scheffler faced a tricky chip from the short left. He struck it clean, watched it bounce, roll, and drop in the cup. It was the shot of the tournament, a chip and birdie when he needed it most. Smith bogeyed the next hole, and Scheffler walked off with a fist pump and a 3-shot lead restored. That moment changed everything. From then on, he never trailed again. He played the front nine with poise, he made pars when he needed to, and took his chances when they came. The lead remained firm as he turned to the back nine. Augusta's final stretch is known for swallowing leads. Scheffler bogeyed the 10th after a pulled drive. He missed the green on 12 and dropped another shot. But unlike so many before him, he did not panic. At the par 5 13th, he reached the green in 2 and calmly 2-putted for a birdie. At the same hole, Smith found Rays Creek and made a triple bogey. It was the moment the tournament slipped away from Smith, because Scheffler followed with a birdie at 14 and one more at the 15th. By the time he stepped onto the 16th tee, the Masters was all but over. He made a par at 16, played a safe 17, and walked to the 18th tee with a 5-shot lead. The final hole was ceremonial. He found the fairway, then the green, and in a moment of human nerves, he 4-putted from 40 feet, with 2 short misses inside of 10 feet that made no difference to the final outcome. He tapped in for double bogey and finished at 10 under par, 3 clear of Rory McIlroy, who had a brilliant 64 on the final round. As Scheffler walked off the green, he hugged his caddy, then Meredith. There was no fist pumps or wild celebrations, only a quiet smile and a deep breath. He had done it. In the Butler cabin, he put on the green jacket. On paper, he was the #1 golfer in the world and a Masters champion. But in spirit, he was still the same quiet kid from Texas, the one who cried that morning and won by sundown.